Thousands of residents who were forced to evacuate from the region of Madrid returned home on Wednesday as the wildfires have been stabilized. Regional authorities said weather conditions improved overnight, which helped firefighting teams reduce the intensity of the fires. Also in Valencia, the regional government lifted similar measures. On Tuesday, however, firefighting crews were still tackling the blazes, which were fueled by high temperatures and strong winds.
Ahora mismo se está en una tarea de contención del incendio y también de refresco, entre otras cosas para evitar el que pueda haber cualquier reinicio de incendios en zonas que pensábamos ya estaba pues consolidado o estable la situación.
And in neighbouring France, officials in the Gironde region also reported a second calm night, adding that a major fire near Bordeaux was stable. However, authorities and firefighting crews stay on alert as the country is faced with yet another heat wave, the fourth one so far this year. Both the Gironde and Landes regions are under an orange level warning, with temperatures expected to reach 41 degrees Celsius inland and 38 degrees Celsius on the coast. The wildfires that swept across Spain and France, which were fueled by extreme heat, are among the largest the two countries have experienced in recent history. Scientists and climate experts have warned that human-induced climate change is making heat waves more frequent and intense, and increasingly likely to occur earlier and later in the year.
In a visit to the divided island of Cyprus, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres announced his intention to convene fresh talks on resolving the decades-long division of Cyprus. Guterres did not set a specific date for the talks and said that sufficient preparation must take place beforehand. The announcement came after a trilateral meeting between Guterres, the President of the Republic of Cyprus, Nikos Christodoulidis, and the Turkish Cypriot leader, Tufan Erhürman. Under the 5+1 format, the two Cypriot sides would be joined by guarantor powers, Greece, Turkey, and the United Kingdom, as well as the United Nations.
Based on our discussions on the way forward, I decided that I would convene another 5+1 meeting after adequate preparations on confidence building, methodology and substance, taking into account the convergences already achieved.
The Secretary-General said there is a consensus among the two sides and the guarantor powers regarding the new meeting. He also clarified that there is no meeting scheduled on the Cyprus issue during the high-level week of the UN General Assembly in September.
I don't want to have more 5+1 meetings without results. I want a successful 5+1 meeting in order to pave the way for a solution to be achieved.
Substantive talks on the Cyprus issue remain at a standstill following the collapse of the process in Crans-Montana, Switzerland in 2017. Nikos Christodoulidis welcomed Guterres' commitment and emphasized that the new effort must build on the negotiating achievements, the points of convergence and everything that had been agreed upon up to Crans-Montana.
Έχουμε αυτό το ξεκαθάρισμα σε σχέση με το διαπραγματευτικό κεκτημένο των συνομιλιών. Δεν ξεκινούμε από το μηδέν, αξιοποιείται το διαπραγματευτικό κεκτημένο, είναι πολύ σημαντικό και αυτή πλέον, αν θέλετε, θετική ανταπόκριση που υπάρχει, κάτι που δεν υφίστατο προηγουμένως, σε σχέση με το ρόλο που δύναται να διαδραματίσει η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση.
President Christodoulidis said preparation would begin immediately with Guterres' personal envoy Maria Angela Olguin and the European Union. He announced that he will meet on Friday in Nicosia with the European Union Special Envoy for Cyprus, Rafael Fito. On his part, Turkish Cypriot leader Tufan Erhürman described Guterres' visit as positive. He welcomed the emphasis on confidence-building measures and a new methodology. He said he was now more hopeful, arguing that any renewed process must focus on achieving results rather than holding talks for their own sake.
UK authorities on Wednesday declared more than half of England in drought after record low rain and exceptionally high temperatures. It follows what is said to be the driest July on record, with just 7% of expected rainfall nationwide and some parts of southern England seeing just 1%, according to the government's Environment Agency. The 7 areas declared in drought comprises 51.4% of England. describing it as a flash drought which develops quickly and is caused by a combination of very low rainfall and higher temperatures. It was the second consecutive summer parts of England were experiencing drought. According to the government's environment agency, rivers are running low, farmers are having to harvest crops early, wildlife risk is increasing, and millions of people are living under restrictions on water use. Meanwhile, the UK's meteorological agency announced on Wednesday it had finalized readings in June and that both England and the UK saw a daily temperature record for the month of around 38 degrees Celsius. The UK is also experiencing its fourth widespread heat wave of 2026. According to the European Union's Copernicus Climate Service, Europe is the world's fastest warming continent, heating at more than twice the global average.
Wildfires continue to ravage swaths of France and Spain, leaving ground crews battling to contain the blazes as summer heat intensifies and dries out vegetation. Operating around the clock, Brussels officials pull emergency assets from across 27 EU member states and 10 partner nations to reallocate limited resources. Following France's request for assistance last week, aircraft from Slovakia, Slovenia, Portugal and Turkey deployed to the southwest, with Serbia offering additional helicopters.
We have the system to detect.
The EU has steadily expanded its aerial fleet and stationed 25 weather and fire specialists in Brussels to assess fire spread and identify emerging risks.
The team is monitoring the situation, monitoring the risk in France, how it will develop, and is in continuous contact with the French authorities to see whether they would need additional support, whether they would need additional planes, and if that would be the case, they would put this information in the system to all member states and participating states to try to get these additional resources.
While officials confirmed all current aid requests have been met, upcoming heat waves risk triggering fresh blazes across the continent, keeping emergency teams on high alert.
BMW will cut several thousand jobs in Germany, becoming the latest major German car maker to launch a substantial cost-saving program. BMW's global workforce was expected to shrink by around 8,000 employees. The company and its Works Council have agreed a voluntary redundancy program targeting administrative and development roles, while production will be excluded. The program would begin in October 2026 and continue until the end of 2027. BMW would expect the measures to generate annual savings of around 1 billion euros from 2028. More than half of BMW's workforce is based in Germany. A substantial proportion of the reductions is therefore expected to occur in the country, according to German media reports. Another car maker, Porsche, is following this path in cutting jobs. The German luxury car maker announced on Monday that it will cut a further 5,000 jobs by 2035 as it seeks to reduce costs. These announcements happen while several other major German car makers have lowered their financial expectations amid deteriorating conditions in China, cost pressures, and weaker consumer sentiment.
Two-thirds of children across Western Europe were exposed to extreme temperatures in the first half of 2026. That is according to a report by child rights organization Save the Children.
Of children across Western Europe were exposed to extreme heat just this far in the year, and we're still in the summer.
This figure is 3 times the figure from the whole of last year. In Germany, the number of children exposed to extreme heat in the first 6 months of this year was larger than the last 5 years combined.
Climate change is worsening every year that passes. The impacts on children are also worsening, and countries really have not adapted its citizens well enough to the changes.
Children are particularly vulnerable to the heat as they are undergoing physical development and have lower capacity for body temperature regulation.
The climate crisis is really a children's rights crisis because they are the most physically vulnerable. Their bodies are the most vulnerable to heat waves and other climate impacts. they are the least responsible. They were just born a few years ago. Most children, they haven't done anything to deserve this. And third of all, they have to live with the consequences for the longest.
French DJ Kavinsky was found dead at his home on Tuesday evening, the Paris prosecutor's office said. It added an investigation has been opened into the cause of death, but that first responders didn't regard it as suspicious. Kavinsky, whose real name was Vincent Bellorger, was a leading figure of the house music movement French Touch, alongside Daft Punk, Justice, Cassius and DJ Midday. One of his most popular tracks was Night Call, the soundtrack of the movie Drive starring Ryan Gosling. The track enjoyed a new lease of life during the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. Kavinsky, French Pride Forever, French President Emmanuel Macron wrote on his Facebook account. Culture Minister Catherine Pégard described the performer who appeared at the closing ceremony of the Paris Olympics in 2024 as one of France's most singular voices. Kavinsky would have turned 51 on the 31st of July.